in 500 BC. So I think you'll agree with me there's a huge difference between 25,366 and the runner-up, which is 653. In other words, the Bible is the most popular book that's ever been written. Simple as that. Right, the accuracy of transmission of the Old Testament is confirmed by the discovery of the Dead Sea Scrolls in 1947. About 800 manuscripts were found in 11 caves by an Arab shepherd boy and others at Qumran in Israel. There are the caves by the Dead Sea, and in 1947 the Dead Sea Scrolls were found in one of those caves. They're found in clay pots. They're between 18 and 25 inches high, and they were hidden there almost certainly by a religious group called the Essenes, and many people believe that John the Baptist was a member of the Essenes, and they've been preserved all this time by the very dry heat. Now here's a picture of the Azar scroll, which is dated 100 BC and is 1,000 years older than the oldest known manuscript. Now, the remnants of approximately 800 manuscripts dating from approximately 200 BC to 68 AD provide impressive evidence for two things. First of all, the accuracy of transmission of the Hebrew and Aramaic manuscripts of the Old Testament and the authenticity of the books themselves. A full copy of the Book of Azar was discovered, which had been made about 100 BC, and comparison of this scroll with the oldest copy of Azar made by the Masorite scribes in Central Europe showed absolutely no difference whatever. In other words, look at me now. People say, oh, well, it's just written by people and it's changed over the years. It hasn't. The Bible hasn't changed. It's the same as the original text. It's identical. It hasn't changed. So we'll carry on just looking at the screen now. Archaeological confirmation of New Testament characters. First of all, archaeological evidence for the existence of Jesus and James. This inscription was found on an ossuary, which is a limestone burial box which was found in Jerusalem, and this is what it reads on the outside in Hebrew: James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus. Does that ring any bells with you? Writing in the Biblical Archaeological Review, André Lemaire, who's a specialist in ancient inscriptions, says it's very probable the find is an authentic reference to Jesus of Nazareth. The inscription in Aramaic appears on an empty ossuary, and Lemaire dates the object to 63 AD. Archaeological evidence for the existence of Pontius Pilate, who condemned Jesus to death. In 1961, archaeologists found a stone inscription at Caesarea in Israel, by the sea, at the site of a temple. And I'm not very good at Latin, but I'll attempt to tell you what it actually says in Latin: Tiberium Pontius Pilatus Praefectus Suid, which in English means Temple, Pontius Pilate, Prefect of Judea. So there you have archaeological confirmation that Pontius Pilate was a real person in real history. We're not talking about mythical people, we're talking about real people. Real people. Jesus was a real person, James was a real person, Joseph was a real person, and so was Pontius Pilate. Now look at this one. Archaeological evidence for the existence of Caiaphas, the high priest that year. In 1990, a first-century ossuary was discovered bearing the word Yehoseph bar Caiaphas, translated, I'm sorry about my Hebrew, it's not very good, translated as Joseph, son of Caiaphas. It's now on display in the Israel Museum in Jerusalem, and Josephus identifies Joseph Caiaphas as the Jewish high priest from 18 to 36 AD. That's in the Jewish Antiquities. Now we're going to look at the scientific accuracy for the Bible. The Bible is a scientific book. Look at me now. The Bible is a scientific book. People think religion's got nothing to do with science. It's got everything to do with science. God is the ultimate scientist. Of course he is, because he created all the scientific laws. So just look with me now. Time, space and matter are finite. Genesis 1:1, 1 Timothy 1, Titus chapter 1. The universe is expanding according to Psalm 104. Stars cannot be numbered according to Jeremiah chapter 3. In fact, it's been estimated there are enough stars for every person on earth to own 2 trillion of them. That's right, 2 trillion of them. And that's published in a book called Astronomy in the Bible. The Earth is a sphere. In other words, it's round. Look at me now. You know, only 200 or 300 years ago, perhaps 400 years ago, they used to think that if you went on a ship and went a long way, you would fall off the edge of the earth. They thought the earth was flat. They really did. They should have read the book of Isaiah. They should have read the book of Isaiah. Look at that. It's Isaiah chapter 40, verse 22 says the earth is a sphere. In Job 26, it says the earth hangs on nothing. The atomic structure is revealed in Hebrews 11, verse 3. The first law of thermodynamics is in Genesis chapter 2, Hebrews chapter 4, and Nehemiah chapter 9. The second law of thermodynamics is Psalm 103, Isaiah 51, and Matthew 24. The oceanic currents are in Psalm 8 and Isaiah 43. Mountains on the ocean floor are commented on in Jonah chapter 2. The jet stream is in Ecclesiastes chapter 1. The evaporation of water, or the water cycle, is in Job 26, Ecclesiastes 1, and Amos 10. The source of the river water is in Ecclesiastes 1. Freshwater springs in the sea are in Job 38. Dinosaurs are all over the Bible, but they're in Job 40, Psalm 74, and Isaiah 27. Nuclear physics is in 2 Peter 3. The importance of blood in the life process is in Leviticus 17. And now we're going to look at the accuracy of Bible prophecy. The accuracy of Bible prophecy. Look at me now. It's very important that we understand the Bible is a prophetic book. It's estimated about a quarter of the Bible is talking about future events. A lot of it has already been fulfilled. And we're going to look about how Jesus fulfilled a huge number of Old Testament prophecies during his lifetime and at his death and his resurrection. So let's look with great interest at this prophetic book, the Bible, which is a supernatural book inspired by God himself. Let's look at this. The accuracy of Bible prophecy. The Bible is a prophetic book, 25% of it referring to future events. And only God can foretell the future. Don't go to spiritualists or seances, all that stuff gets condemned by God. It's an abomination to God in Deuteronomy 18. Only God knows the future, so go to him for the future. Jesus said, before Abraham was born, I am. That's in John chapter 8. This confirms that Jesus existed before the birth of Abraham. The Bible states that Jesus is God and pre-existed everything. That's in John chapter 1, verse 1. It says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Jesus is God. Don't be in any doubt about that. Now we're going to look at the amazing accuracy of Daniel chapter 9, verses 24 to 27, commonly known as Daniel's 70 weeks. All right? It starts off with 70, and here we go, so Daniel 9, 24, 70 weeks are determined for your people and your holy city. Well, 70 weeks are determined for your people. Who are God's people? The Jews. And where's the holy city? Answer, Jerusalem. All right? Now, this is very interesting because it predicts with complete accuracy the year in which Jesus would come to Jerusalem and be executed or crucified, but not for himself, according to the scriptures. This is what it says in Daniel 9. Know therefore and understand that from the going forth of the command to restore and build Jerusalem until Messiah the Prince, there shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. The street shall be built again, and the wall even in troublesome time. And after the 62 weeks, the Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. Now that's fairly complicated, but I'm going to make it very easy for you, and easy for me too, because this is not my teaching. It comes from Roger Price, a very famous Bible teacher from Chichester Christian Fellowship, and my church is very closely related to Chichester Christian Fellowship. I'll tell you what actually happened. In 458 BC, in Nehemiah, the Nehemiah of the Bible, was in Babylon, all right? And he asked the king at the time, Artaxerxes Longimanus, that means Artaxerxes with the long hand, for permission to go to Jerusalem and to rebuild it. And it's recorded in Nehemiah chapter 2, verses 4 and 5, and this is what it says. If it pleases the king, and if your servant has found favor in his sight, let him send me to the city in Judah